Okay, so without any further delay, I would like to introduce our first speaker, who is also the guest of honor today in our symposium, Dr. Velimir Abramović. I'll just give a short introduction of him for all our audience before we start with this presentation. Dr. Velimir was born in 1952 in Belgrade, Serbia. He earned his doctorate in philosophy of science in 1985 from the Faculty of Philosophy, University of Skopje, with a thesis on the problem of continuity in the natural philosophy of Leibniz and Boskovic. Since 1990, he has been a professor at the University of Belgrade, teaching history of ideas and concepts of time, space, and matter in natural sciences. As the founder and former editor-in-chief of the bilingual philosophical scientific magazine Tesliana, Dr. Abramović has dedicated his career to exploring the intersection of philosophy, science, and metaphysics. His work includes numerous publications and lectures worldwide, such as Introduction to the Ontology of Time, and writings on the philosophy of the ether and Tesla's scientific legacy. In 2024, he received the Universal Medal in Science and Spirituality in India, recognizing his lifelong contribution to the dialogue between science and spiritual thought. So with this, I'd like to invite our guest of honor to deliver his talk, which is titled as Consciousness is Continuity and the Eternal Present is Continuum. Please, big round of applause. Thank you.
I hope this will not be too scientific, but I'll explain everything because forgive me for taking this opportunity to announce, but I really wanted to announce in this country where non-sensual physics, the theory of relativity, was created in Bern, and where near Geneva there is a large collider, an experiment of destructive physics that shatters matter only instead of creating it. At the entrance to CERN is a big statue of God Shiva, 4.5 meters. But it is a symbol of only half of Lord Shiva's nature, the one that destroys. In the physics of time and ether, we understand and imitate the laws of nature in creation, not destruction. The creative part of Shiva's nature, inspired and followed by the divine revelation of Swami Vivekananda and the spiritual science of Nikola Tesla, explores the creation of elementary particles of chemical atoms, meaning matter in general, from what was formerly called the luminiferous ether. So we recognize ether as the basis of matter creation, or today the electromagnetic spectrum, or simply the production of matter directly from light. Well, first one. This is it. So this is actually the title of the lecture. The ontological basis of the theory of time with the application of temporal mathematics to free fall and Newton's gravity. What I'm going to present today is the very basis of a successful theory of everything that I have been working on about 45 years to come up with simple and provable solutions. After the introduction, I will present the system of categories and the application of temporal mathematics on the example of gravity. Please be patient and understand I'm using this extraordinary opportunity to introduce the spiritual physics. That is the reason of this complicated talk. There is only one real physical infinity, that the existing world consists of, and that is constant present time. That is what is real. It is always now. And what is virtual is a mass, energy, and space. Actually, space, energy, and mass. That is a ritual. And those are coming from the continuum of time, and actually there's parts of time. So that is why the whole manifested world is illusionary, and only time is eternal and it is real, only constant present time. It is infinite, and because it is infinite, it does not move. And that is why always is now. Quantitative property 1, it is a unique physical infinity. Unique, because it is clear that multiple infinities cannot fit together. If you have one infinity, it will include all the others infinity. So only time is infinite, but space, energy, and matter are finite, but of any size. Because the place of space is infinite, the size of space, because the place of space is time, it's continuum of time, always now. And that is why the space has not the measurement. You cannot measure the whole space. It is of any size, but finite, not infinite. Philosopher Melissus of Samos, 6th century before Christ, infinities cannot coexist. One includes all the others. So the non-contradictory logical assumption must be that there is only one real physical infinity, and that is constant present time. Quantitative property 2, what I claim that constant present time is infinite. Why I claim that constant present time is infinite? Actually, that is obvious. Because of its infinity, constant present time is immobile. What is infinite cannot move. And that is why it is always the same time now. Everyone knows it is, as I say. Qualitative property of constant present time, big infinite. It has no external form, because it is infinite, no borders, or limit. It is pure formless essence. So what is the only essence? Time is the essence of the world, because it has no form, and it has no form because it is infinite, no border. Which additionally means that space, mass, and energy are internal forms of time, and that present time is their common essence. Space can be of any size, but it has form, and present time is formless. That is world. This world was not created in time, but from time. Saint Augustine, 6th century AD. So everything is made of time, because time is infinite. Everything else are parts of time, so everything has the common essence, and it is time. To date, there has been no physical or mathematical theory based on the simple fact that completely coincides with everyday human experience, that there is always eternal present time. We do not have theory in philosophy, in mathematics, in physics, based on that simple fact, which is completely coinciding with our experience. Whenever you can remember, from the beginning of life to the end, it was always now. There is no other time, which is real. Such a task required a completely new, direct, and accurate physical interpretation of basic mathematical concepts, operations, and objects. Completely rediscovering of the meaning of the basic notions of mathematics, of numbers and geometrical objects like point, line, etc. Since constant present time is the only real physical infinity, it can only be differentiated intrinsically. It follows that space must be a finite part of time, and energy and mass must be finite parts of space with their own spaces characterized by a specific or eigen internal times, which are, of course, also finite. So finite time is internal time of the object, and it is part of time is space. That is internal time. So, for example, electromagnetic spectrum, you have a wave. You had a wave, and you look at a wave as a part of space. So actually, it is internal time, what we call part of space. It is also time, but it is characteristic time of the part, not continuum of the constant present time, which is the basis of everything. In fact, the boundaries between energy, space, and mass are temporal in nature. So, for example, space, my hand has also space, and the space is continuing. So space is dispatching actually my hand with the space around, but the internal time of my hand is different than the internal time of the surrounding space. So time is the border of things, not space. In the case of equality of internal times, the particles also behave equally, regardless of distance, information, teleportation. Where is space? The place of space is time, which is infinite, and therefore the space can be of any magnitude. Its size is determined by the temporal differential 1/2. This is important. Or a radius, which produces a sphere of space that further divides infinite time into 3 parts. Inner, which is past, surface, which is present, and outer, it is future. That's how space is divided by internal times. But it is not the continuous times which dispatches everything. If we still assume that space can be represented by 0 or by 1 point, then we speak no longer about finite space, but about infinite time. So point has no dimensions. It is not space. It is time. Space must have at least some length. That's simple like that. And of course, 0. 0 is an arithmetical model of constant present time, because the part of 0 equalizes the whole 0. 5 zeros are 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. So that's a number which represents present time, and present time is what is infinite. So 0 represents infinity, also point as a geometrical model represents infinity. To summarize, so this was introduction, sorry. Time is infinite, space is a part of time and finite, no matter how big it is, can be of any size. Energy and mass are parts of space with their own internal times. Mass and energy are of the same nature. They are both time-space formations and differ only in synchronicity, which is why they have 2 manifestations. If their vibrations are synchronous or partially synchronous, then it is a wave-wave relation or particle-particle relation, so it's synchronicity. It is asynchronous, then it is a particle-wave relation, or conversely, wave-particle relation. So the same nature, but 2 manifestations, wave and particle. The entire theory of time is based on a single assumption, that is, infinity exists, really exists, only one time. Although infinity is not a metric term, it is a quantitative concept, and if multiple infinities are assumed, as is in the case of modern mathematics, in mathematics they say you have infinity as many as you want to, but it is ridiculous. We need the natural limitations of mathematical thinking, otherwise mathematics will completely go away from physics. We become like a pure theory or like a theory of games. Today's mathematics, more or less, is such. So, as is the case in modern mathematics, many infinities, also physics, this creates ontological chaos. And ontology means criterion of existing or not. So many infinities are not existing, only one. And that is why it is ontological chaos in today's science. It is eternal present time. It is always the immeasurable present moment. It is constantly now. Our consciousness itself is an experience of real infinity. Consciousness itself is experience of real infinity of constant present time. This implies something extremely important. There is no flow or any moment or any movement of time at all. What we have physically is the eternal and immeasurable constant present time, and it is the cosmically given absolute time. Newton was gravely mistaken in claiming in the Principia Mathematica that absolute time has an undisturbed uniform flow, what means that time moves. That was Newton claimed. If time moves, then it cannot always be the same present time. Time is not changing. Space, energy, and mass change. We change, not time. We are born, grow old, and die always in the present. Finally, philosophy and science would have to start taking time seriously as a fundamental concept of existence and the most general law of physics. In physics, there are no experiments outside of time. Even time itself is temporal. Then I looked for the internal cause of the intrinsic and perfectly calm and passive temporal infinity. A question arose. Why does the immobile, unique, temporal, physical infinity, which is constant present time, differentiate itself into internal parts at all? Why that differentiation into parts, when infinity is absolutely perfect already? I was thinking about very much, and I find the reason. It appears from above, as everything. Simply because of polycentrism. Where is the center of infinity? Could be here. It is the center. It is non-local center, because everywhere is infinity. And then it is also here. So how many centers of infinity, how many of them exist? 1 plus n plus 1, as many as natural numbers we have. So, but 2 of them, it is a relation of radius, spherical law, and we have space. Because of polycentrism of infinity, of time, which is the only one real infinity, there is a differentiation intrinsically, differentiate time itself into space and further into mass and energy. This polycentrism of temporal infinity is also reflected in the space created in it. Here in this room, there is only one center of the infinite present. It is present now here. If you came yesterday and I come today, we would not meet. Obviously, we must be simultaneous or synchronous. Here in this room, so it is one center of the infinite present. In another room, there is another center of the present. The third is on the moon. The fourth is on Andromeda. There is exactly one n plus 1 coexisting centers of the same infinite present time. How many centers? how many numbers is, so many are the centers. The consequence of coexisting centers of temporal infinity is that any two centers form a radius, so it is relation in between two centers. Arithmetic corollary is the temporal differential is 1/2, which is both minimal and maximal. Maximum is 1/2, minimum is 1/2. If it is 0, it is time. It's not radius. A further consequence is that the centers of infinity cannot coincide because that would lead to a change in its density, which is excluded because it is immobile, cannot move, so cannot coincide one center to the another. Distances in space are illusory, and can be abolished over time as the entanglement of photons clearly shows. In zero time, they have connection. Of course, parts of infinity cannot move realistically, but only illusory, about the real explanation of movement on another occasion. So, constant present time is also a pure essence that has no form because it has no external boundaries. We can perceive everything in part, space, mass, energy, but we cannot perceive physical infinity of constant present time. In fact, consciousness and thought are senses for the infinite present. Those are also senses, but of infinity. To summarize, the infinity, both mathematical and physical, consists of centers only. It has no boundary of periphery. All centers of infinity necessarily coexist, or there is no infinity. Centers of infinity are anywhere and everywhere, so non-local point is continuity, model of consciousness, but with 2 points or two coexisting centers of infinity starts self-division of infinity, intrinsically self-division. Now comes the Vedic conclusion of this logic. Vedic conclusion. General consciousness and time are infinite, unchanging, and therefore real, and space is the first illusion created, energy is second, and the mass is the third illusion created. This completely illusionary world. And of course, motion is the supreme illusion that maintains the magic of their existence. Moment. Thank you for water. I will now very briefly show you the system of categories from which the explanation of gravity as the temporal phenomenon follows. Two centers are sufficient to form a radius that, according to the spherical law, automatically triggers the intrinsic division algorithm of time. Because of radius, the first inner part of a continuum is a unit sphere of space. Radius makes sphere. Therefore, pi is the morphological constant or shape constant of space. This is the category system. So I want only these two first actually lines are important. The first one, what is consciousness? So if time is a continuum and infinite continuum, then it must be continuous. So consciousness is a continuity ontologically. So it is a property of continuum, which is a constant present time. So consciousness ontologically is continuity, and that continuity, or the law, so from spirit toward time and matter, actually comes the creation. So consciousness creates time. Continuity creates continuum. And that is, ontologically speaking, very usable, in mathematics, because it can be base of mathematics, as you will see. So, all the centers of infinity, constant present time, so all the centers of infinity, coexisting centers, because infinite consists only of centers, no periphery, no border, only centers. And that is actually zero on infinite potential. And so on. Discontinuity, you see, it is the temporal space generator. It is radius. 2 points. 1 point is a constant present time, actually consciousness, and all the points are constant present time, but 2 points, two centers of infinity creates radius, radius creates sphere, and you have division, the whole time continuum, in 3 parts. Sphere, inside is a sphere of space. So inside it is past. Periphery of the space surface, it is present. So we are always on the surface, always in present, and future is what is around. And that is how continuum time intrinsically divides in safe, making space, divides itself into 3 times, which we can experience in our memories, not real. Really, we experience only constant present time, but in memory, we have also future and past. So, I mean, of course, this it is for you. You can ask for this to look at carefully, because it's not possible to explain everything here. So, note, internal time, space, energy, and mass are parts of constant present time continuum. So that is it. Since the internal times of space, and what is the surface of a unit sphere? It is a pi. And what is the diameter? It is 1. That is the real physical meaning of the 1. 1 is internal time of the whole space, which is actually curved over pi, and pi is the morphological or a shape constant of space. I couldn't get any other result logically. So, mass is space from which energy has been taken away. That is pure mass, no energy. But what is the content of mass? It is energy. Energy and mass differ only in internal times. Mass, phi, it's a golden section, and energy, which is phi squared, it is internal time of energy is phi squared, internal time of mass is phi, golden section and golden section squared. Small golden section, inside 1, not 1.618 and so on, not big, but small, which is inside the unit. And of course, in the dimension and shape of space dictated by internal time. I will now present a brief explanation of gravity, which examples as follows from the above. Definition of gravity. Gravity is the synchronicity law of mass and space. It is not a force at all. Simply, it is synchronous arrangement of masses in space. Elementary gravitational mass is the result of the natural equalization of internal times of space and at least 2 masses, as in Newton's gravitational law. Here is the explanation. We go over that. You can see right away that something is wrong here. The forces of attraction are equal, but the masses are not. So that is, this is in the Newton, there are differences in mass in the Newton's law. So I did it a little bit differently, according only to time mathematics. And in time mathematics, what we use also in Sankhya. We use only 0, 1, 1/2 as a law, as a relation, and small phi and pi, and that's all. And then comes what is related to life, and it is constant of E, 2.71 and so on, and also Fibonacci order, and also Lucas order, but that is about biology. This is only about matter, so about the time. What is matter? Matter is time plus space plus mass plus energy. When we say matter, it is a very complex notion, actually. In my interpretation of the physics of time, masses are equal and touch surface as in the free fall when one mass falls on the top on another. Time physics, geometrical model of the gravitational constant. So who will be interested, I will give him this so that he can go through the mathematics. Oh, sorry. So, space over mass minus internal time of space, and you see that mathematics. You take pi over phi golden section of pi minus 1, and 1 is the internal time of space, and then what you get, it is not seen here at all, but does not matter. Okay, we go. So what we get is 3.3 theta times 2, we get the gravitational constant by this mathematics completely the same as it was got by measuring thousands and thousands, measuring through the ages of attraction of two masses, according to Newton's law. But here is how it is in physical books. But this is my model, so masses are equal. And now you cannot see here, it is a Newton's. So if we put this formula, I mean pi and phi and 1 and so on, directly in the Newton's law of gravity, you get absolutely the same. So the Newton's law of gravity is correct. You get absolutely the same result. So this is mathematics, and it is shown everything in detail. So the square root of Newton's force, that is my result, is equal to non-dimensional gravitational constant. And that is very important. Why is this result measured in the CGS system? And that is centimeter, gram, and second system. Centimeter, gram, second of the MKS system, meter, kilogram, second, which does not change the result, equal to the dimensionals gravitational constant. So I got the dimensionals directed from the Newton's law, which is okay. By this mathematics, not by normal application of mathematics as in physics as it is if it is doing today everywhere in the universities. A little bit change with the fundamental explanation. The reason is that of three measures are determined as fractals of natural constants, centimeter and so on, and that is, they are independent of human determined ones such as the pound, foot, inch, and so on, that are human determined, but second and so on, it is not human determined, it's a part of Earth rotation and meridian and so on. Okay, it's very small difference in favor of this mathematics. Difference is insignificant, but of course, if you do it theoretically correctly, it's always better than measurement. Measurement has some mistakes normally included. So, what is interesting here is this. The Galileo law of free fall is distance of the free fall is time squared over 2, half of a time squared. There is no mass. in Galileo's law of free fall, there is no mass. Okay. Gravity law of Newton is force of gravity equals one mass times the other mass over radius squared. So in Galileo law, you do not have mass. In Newton, you have calculation over mass. Those two laws are directly contradictory, independent on mass and dependent on mass. In order to reconcile these two laws, I looked for and found the temporal gravitational constant independent of mass, distance, and internal times. Of course, it turned out to be the temporal space generator radius, that is arithmetically the temporal differential 1/2. So, okay, so this is the table. You cannot see that, but does not matter. I mean, the whole thing is now there is a table, this is the calculation, and so on, and we come to this table. should be white. This would be. So free fall radius table 1/2, and I show that actually it's 1/2. 1/2 is the gravity. Why? Because you have, but it is hidden in Galileo's law 1/2, because time squared is over 2. So two distances are equalizing to time squared. Okay, so one distance is a half of it, so it is 1/2. So if we put time squared over s over distance, we get 1/2 directly. So that is what actually, as a constant, it is a hidden constant in free fall and also in Newton's gravitational law, and that constant unites Galileo and Newton, nothing else. So I showed it step by step in the table. Now, what will be interesting? Can you please this somehow could be any of those? Now you will see free fall in Ohio. It is a big vacuum chamber where they have a fur and one metal ball which are going down, and then okay, they are in the same level going, okay, but great but when they come to the substrate, to the end, fur doesn't make any impact on the floor, on the substance, and the ball does. That is interesting. So that is not the weight in question. Would be interesting. So objects with different masses fall at the same rate, as you know. I have it here, okay. Beautiful. Excellent. What is about? Okay, now he's explaining. Does not matter. He's explaining how the function, the vacuum room, how they make. Now here is Here is a first experiment is with the air. Now he is going out. They took the air out, and you will see how it is. Now, look at this. So this is with the air. Now they're closing the doors. It's 30 meters high, this vacuum chamber. It's unbelievable, higher in the United States. But actually, what I want you to see is there is another which only shows, but okay. Now you will see. So it is, you see, it is going in the same rate, fur and this ball, but at the end, the effect is completely different. You see the hole. That is the point. And please just help me to now to return. Please just to return to the. Very good. Oh, thank you. So, this is not easily manifested in the order of the free fall. The experiments of Loran Eötvös. Loran Eötvös was an Hungarian baron who actually proved by his very, very long, actually so many times repeated experiments with the different elements of Mendeleev system of periodic elements. And he actually showed that each element has its own gravitational constant. That is not, as we see, that is not so actually. But, okay. And you see, what is the point here? So there is completely different effect of the ball and of the fur, but it looks like they have the same weight. I mean, coming in the same level to the end. But what is the point? What is force? Force, how we define force? Newton's force according to Newton's law. So the force is mass times velocity, or change of the velocity if it's acceleration, but doesn't matter. So it's mass times velocity over time. Mass times velocity over time. And what is the moment of force? So that is the effect of force. It is mass times velocity. So what is the difference in between force and momentum? It is time. It is time, obviously. And that is the point, which means that the moment of this ball we saw, the moment which is the effect, its effect is not dependent on weight at all, and also on the force, because it's a time effect. And that is why actually it is different. So moment is independent of time. And that is why the end of this fall makes effect like we throw the ball directly without any chamber from Ohio. So the shortest time of free movement between 2 points is by cycloid. It's a special curve which is better than a straight line. Now you will see, please help just to show this example. If we, just copy and then you. Yeah. Now we are finishing. So you see what is the point? This is cycloid, and it is actually shorter or faster, let's say, but so it's okay. Now, and how we make cycloid? We take a circle or a ball and put it on the right surface. And what we get? We got a special curve which is better than a straight line. But okay, straight lines are internal times, and space is curved over pi. Okay. Please, if you can, this is very short film, but it is important because this is from the archive of scientist Goran Marjanović, who is present here. And it is important because of the making of a cycloid when you have radius which is turning upside down. And now you will see. So this is from the station, orbital station, Russian orbital station. What they have 1985, what they have noticed is that the very strange behavior of a screw. You see, look at this. At a certain moment, that was not easy to explain. And again, that is why the nature of gravity is temporal and so on, but it needs some more explanation. Okay, we go further. Now I have to finish. Yeah, next. So, if we place equal masses at any position on the cycloid, they will be side by side at the bottom in the same time. But we do not have now, time to show that example. But this is river, sinusoicity. You see what is this? This is distance in between the source of the river and the mouth. And this is the real river flow. And you know what is the difference? Exactly pi. When you divide actually river by this straight line, you get number pi. What does it show? But it shows that actually space is curved over pi, because Earth is a sphere and the river goes like it should go according to natural laws. So it shows actually the curve of the space, or the constant, morphological constant of space, which is pi. Hans Henrik Stolum, geographer from the University of Cambridge, calculated the ratio between the actual length of rivers from the source to the mouth and the direct air line length, and found it to be over 3. The exact pi ratio is found in rivers that flow in plains such as the Amazon, Siberian tundra, and so on. So, this is a ball race. Can you just show this and I finish? This is interesting, because it's obvious. Thank you very much for being patient. Yes. How we can open it, I think.
That's not a link, that's a file which is not good.
Which is fine. Okay. So the thing is, you have two balls, and one ball goes straight, and the other balls go like this. And of course, this ball comes first, and the initial force is the same for two balls. So that is something you can find it on the internet. But conclusion. In short, my conclusion is that the cause of the gravitational arrangement of objects in the universe is time, as it was earlier discovered by a Russian scientist Nikolai Alexandrovich Kozyrev, or even more directly, at the root of our primitive sensors concepts of gravitational force and energy. Quantum also is time. Force and energy are only manifestations of the real existence of time and the law of time, which is the most general law of physics. There is no atemporal experiments. Everything is temporal. Continuity of consciousness creates the continuum of present time, whose properties constantly produce our world space, energy, and mass. To put it quite simple, consciousness creates present time, everything else follows mathematically. Thank you for your attention. You will be so patient. Thank you a lot. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Velimir Abramović, for this fascinating and thought-provoking presentation. So your insights into the nature of time, consciousness, and the foundation of physical reality has given us a lot to reflect on. So it's time for questions. If anyone has question from the audience,
If there are any questions.
feel free to ask. Maybe I can start with one. So you describe constant present time as infinite and immobile, and consciousness as a direct experience. So being
Creator of time. Consciousness is continuity.
Exactly.
It creates continuum of time.
Yeah.
Because there is no continuum without continuity. And law in physics or in generally always precedes that what is created. So consciousness as the law of continuity must precede the continuum which is continuous. So consciousness creates time.
But as an experimentalist myself, the first thought comes to me is like, is there any way you envision that we can experimentally establish these things?
Yes, of course, it is going with this table, which I did not have time, to present. But you have everything here. I will leave it to you, so you can give it to anybody who is interested. And that is a levitation. Actually, levitation experiment.
Yes. So we have a question.
What is levitation?
Yeah. Thank you. So we have a question.
Thank you for being here. I have a short question. So
Please.
you say that consciousness creates time,
Yes.
right? Would
Yes.
it be
General consciousness, not
Yes.
individual consciousness.
correct? Would it be correct then to say that consciousness is the essence of everything, of the infinite? That infinity and consciousness are the same?
Absolutely, yes. What we, in theology, what we call spirit, in science, it is a consciousness, but general awareness, consciousness, not our consciousness, which are, let's say, limited by our senses, of course. And
Yes,
when
I'm
we
talking
sleep, we
about
are also
essential-
conscious, but not the same consciousness.
Pardon me. I was talking about essential consciousness.
Essential consciousness.
Universal?
Universal, yes, or general, but it is, of course, it is actually completely spiritual. Consciousness is exactly what theology, but I think that notion is a little bit blurred. It's not completely clear what they call spirit. When they say spirit, is not completely clear. It's not a man who dies and then you have his spirit. It's not that. So you have a general notion of spirit, but it is better to call it awareness. So awareness, and then comes
Thank you.
individual consciousness. Terminology is very important, yes.
Clear to me.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it's a matter of terminology and language.
Exactly, how to translate actually the ancient wisdom to our time and use it experimentally.
Thank you so much.
Because experimental physicist, because religion, it is experience. Experimental physicist is religious. And theoretical physicist, because it's a mind, it's a logic, it's a theory, mathematics, he's spiritual. So there is a difference in between religion and spirituality. Spirituality is about mind, and religion is about direct experience of God existence.
Thank you. So we'll have one more question. We'll just keep it a bit short because
We have time. Regarding the gravity, our teacher is explaining, according to the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the oldest teachings of the Vedic literature, that gravity doesn't exist. So
No.
So now you're presenting some view about the gravity. So there is a contradiction, or it's paradoxal. For me, it's a little bit paradoxal. Can you enlighten me about this?
Because science is paradoxal, I'm trying to explain the whole thing, to let's say, to return the reasoning, the common reasoning in today's science. You know why? Because what about Earth? It is levitating. Moon is levitating. All stars are levitating, and we are talking about gravity. There's something that doesn't fit. I agree completely.
Yeah, so I think because of time, we'll take only this many questions, but we have interaction with the speakers at the end of the event where you can ask more questions if you have something to ask to our speakers. Because we're running a little bit late, we'll just cut it to this. So thank you once again to Dr.
Thank you.
Velimir
Sorry
Abramović.
for so long. Please.
So we have actually. Can you? I request you to. Can I request you to stay a little bit longer? We have a memento that we would like to present to you, and for this I'd like to request Daniel Yanin, the secretary of WPC, to kindly come and present this memento. To
present like this?
Yes. Sorry. Like this. Okay. To our speaker.
Oh, thank you so much. This is great
You can
joy
hold
for
this.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of things.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So a big round of applause for our guest of honor for a very nice, insightful talk. So our next talk will be online in Zoom.